let's talk a little bit more about intercept form. So as I mentioned, intercept form looks like this. It's an equation in this form, where y is on one side of the equal sign. Then over on the other side, we have a constant, a, plus bx. So that's a constant times a variable. And this constant a, that tells us the y-intercept. And then b will tell us the rate of change. And again, another name for rate of change is the slope. Again, just to refresh your memory, the y-intercept is where the graph crosses the y-axis. The location of the y-intercept will be 0, a. So let's take a look at that on the graph. So we're looking at our coordinate plane, our y-axis and our x-axis, and then we're looking at this graph of a line. So we can see right here, that's where the graph crosses the y-axis. So that is the y-intercept. And so let's take a look at this. Again, in our equation, we're going to have a number, and that's going to tell us this y-intercept. When we want to give an ordered pair for this point on the graph, the x-coordinate, that first number written, is going to be 0. Why? Because it's on the y-axis. We're not moving left or right at all. And then the second number will be a, will be this number in the equation. Now, for rate of change, again, rate of change is the comparison, the ratio between the change in one variable compared to the change in the other variable. Specifically, we're looking at the change in y values compared to the change in x values. And again, that's represented by this coefficient of x, the number being multiplied by x. Another way to write the slope, or the equation for the slope, how we'll calculate it, is the change in y divided by the change in x. That symbol, the triangle, is a symbol for change. Another way a lot of people talk about it is rise over run. So let's take a look at 2 points. You can look at any 2 points on your graph. Let's look at these two, that one and this one. Let's call the ordered pair here. It's going to be an x value. We'll call it x1, and a y value. We'll call that y1. And then this one down here we'll call x2, y2. So if I wanted to find the slope, I look for the change in y. Remember, the y is the vertical piece. So this change in y divided by the change in x. Remember, x is the horizontal piece. So the change in x. So the change in y is going to equal this number minus this number. So y2 minus y1. And the change in x equals this number minus this number, x2 minus x1. We'll take a look more at that with more specific examples. Something else I wanted to point out. So we can have either a negative slope or a positive slope. A negative slope is like this one. It's going to go down from left to right. And then a positive slope is just the opposite. It goes up from left to right.